Welcome to the Explainer. We live in a world just flooded with data. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful tool that helps millions of engineers and scientists turn all that messy, complex data into clear, actionable insights.
I mean, think about it. We are just surrounded by numbers, whether it's in finance or climate science or you name it. But raw data? It's really just noise. The big challenge is turning all that noise into something useful. And that's exactly where a tool like MATLAB comes into the picture.
All right, so first things first, what even is MATLAB? Okay, so the definition says it's an interactive environment. And that word, environment, is actually super important. This isn't just another programming language like, say, Python or C++. You've got to think of it as a complete workshop specifically built for the entire process of analyzing data, creating algorithms, and building models.
And here's the real secret sauce, the thing that makes it all click. At its core, everything in MATLAB is a matrix, or an array. It doesn't matter if it's a single number, a whole list of data, or even a picture, it's all handled the same way. And that one simple idea makes really complex math feel, well, surprisingly easy.
So that's the big idea, right? Everything's an array. But, so what? How does that actually help you solve a real problem? Let's take a look at a practical example and see how this all comes together.
Okay, check this out. Imagine you've got a bunch of population data, and your boss wants you to predict what's going to happen next. With just a few lines of code in MATLAB, you can fit different models to it and get this beautiful, clear chart. This is exactly the kind of thing that tells a story with the data. But the question is, how do you get from a messy spreadsheet to something like this?
And yeah, more importantly, how do you do it efficiently? In a way that's easy to explain and share with your team without having to jump between 3 or 4 different pieces of software. Well, the answer is built right into MATLAB's environment.
And this is where the magic really happens. What you're looking at is called a MATLAB live script. See how on the left, you've got your code and your notes all together, and then on the right, boom, there's your output. The charts, the results, popping up right next to the code that made it. You're not switching windows, you're not exporting anything, it's all right there in one place.
What's so cool about this is that live scripts let you basically build a story around your work. You're not just handing someone a chunk of code and saying, good luck. You're giving them a whole narrative that they can actually run and interact with. It just makes your work so much easier for other people to get, to double check, and even to build on top of.
Okay, so because it's so integrated, MATLAB is used, well, pretty much everywhere. So let's talk about who's actually using this thing and for what.
The user base is just huge. We're talking about engineers in aerospace R&D departments, designing flight control systems, or financial analysts modeling what the market's going to do. You've got scientists in labs analyzing brain scans, data scientists building machine learning models. Seriously, if your job involves complicated math and data, there's a really good chance MATLAB is being used in your field.
But here's the thing. MATLAB isn't trying to be a one-size-fits-all tool out of the box. The core is really powerful, for sure, but its real strength is how it can be customized for specific jobs. And it does that with something called toolboxes.
So, what are toolboxes?
Just think of them as specialized add-ons. They're libraries of pre-built functions for really specific tasks. Need to do some heavy-duty signal processing? There's a toolbox for that. Working on computer vision or image analysis? Yep, there's a toolbox for that too. Deep learning, finance, statistics, you name it. This quote here from the documentation shows you exactly how it works. A specific function might actually need one of these toolboxes to even run.
All right, so this all sounds great, but it brings us to the most important question, right? The bottom line. Why is this so valuable? What's the real return on investment for learning and using this tool?
To really get it, let's just compare the MATLAB way to, well, the traditional way. Without MATLAB, think about your workflow. You might run your numbers in one program, then you have to export that data into another program just to make a chart, and then you've got to copy and paste that chart into a report. It's clunky, it's slow, and honestly, it's easy to make mistakes. The MATLAB way, on the other hand, keeps your analysis, your visuals, and your documentation all together in one seamless process. So what does that all add up to? The main benefit is just a huge boost in productivity. When you stop wasting time moving data between different tools, you can explore your ideas and get to a solution so much faster. And this isn't just about saving a few minutes here and there. It means projects get done faster, and you can explain your findings way more clearly. So we have to ask the ultimate question. Is it worth it? Is the effort you put into learning it worth the benefit you get out?
And the answer is a huge yes. When you think about how much time and hassle you save with this integrated workflow, the benefit-to-effort ratio is easily greater than 1. You get way more out than you put in, no question.
So at the end of the day, MATLAB gives you this amazing environment where you don't just find an answer. You get to understand, document, and share the entire journey of how you got there. It turns a messy, complicated analysis from a bunch of separate steps into a single compelling story. And maybe that's the real question it helps you answer. Not just what's the solution, but how well can I tell the story of how I found it?